If you grew up in the 1980s or just have good taste in movies, then chances are you'll love Gremlins. It was the Joe Dante film that taught an entire generation that pet ownership can come with deadly consequences. While the sequel isn't nearly as beloved, it did go on to spawn a video game that was a big hit with both critics and fans. And it's not just a great action game, but also has one of the best 8-bit endings of all time. Turn back now if you don't want to know what happens next, because today we're going to spoil the story and ending for Gremlins 2, the new batch on the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is Game Over, the early years. This is one of those movie adaptations that just assumes you already know what's going on. They basically just cut out the first 20 minutes of the movie, but don't worry, I'm here to fill in all those gaps. Okay, so there's this really douchey billionaire New York City land developer who likes to put his name all over the city's biggest buildings. Well, anyway, he's trying to create a Chinatown high-rise, but the only thing standing in his way is Mr. Wing, the current owner of Gizmo. Sadly, when Mr. Wing dies, the wrecking crew comes in. Unfortunately, the cute little Gizmo is captured and experimented on by Saruman. As it turns out, this clamp building is also where Billy and Kate work. They're still together and hoping to get married soon, but Billy's a little skeptical about his new job and change in scenery. He's right to be concerned because Billy learns from Dracula that scientists are splicing genes in a secret laboratory. And wouldn't you know, they just created a new type of gerbil. Billy investigates, discovers his old pal Gizmo, and helps the little guy escape from his cage. Now on his own, Gizmo's mission is mostly one of survival. He's a curious creature, so he decides to explore and try to find Billy's new cubicle. Normally that would involve a lot of stealth and sneaking missions, but in this game he throws tomatoes at rats, bats, and wait, is that a bigger tomato? So hold on, wait. You mean to tell me that he fights tomatoes with tomatoes? I've heard of fighting fire with fire, but this seems like a losing strategy. Anyway, Gizmo eventually makes his way to the office floor, where he discovers a match and oh no! Is that a water spill? Just like in the movie, Gizmo is doused with water and spawns a whole bunch of balls of fur, which then turn into evil, nasty gremlins. Oh, there's a whole thing about not feeding Gizmo after midnight and getting him wet, but you're just gonna have to go with me on this one. So, Gizmo is confined to an air duct by Mohawk and the other gremlins. Don't worry, he has a plan. He fights his way through a bunch of spikes and electrical fields before finding the exit, which leads to a basement floor where the rest of the gremlins are up to no good. This is where he once again meets up with Mohawk, who he fights in the chemical room. Gizmo earns a paperclip from the fight, which allows him to explore the Clamp Center from the inside. This is a fun stage that reminds you that Clamp is running a television network out of the building. I like how they work in the spooky graveyard set from the movie. The challenging stage ends with a fight against an electrical gremlin in front of a television bay. I'm telling you, those paperclips really came in handy. With that out of the way, it's time for Gizmo to make the fateful trip back to the genetics lab. The good news is that he's now equipped with a killer crossbow. Unfortunately, the bad news is that the gremlin foes are a lot more aggressive now, with some of them even blended in with the background. But that's not even the worst part, because the level ends with an intense fight against a gun-toting Mohawk. And if you think that's bad, just wait until you see what he has in store for you in the next stage. Speaking of which, Stage 5 takes us to the Control Center, where we battle the wicked creatures that are attempting to take over the entire building. Yeah, this is where any hope of realism is just tossed out the window in favor of weirdly placed conveyor belts, moving spikes, bottomless pits, and floors made of lava. Look, I don't care how tall your skyscraper is. Floors made out of lava is an exceedingly bad idea. Here's another bad idea. Fighting the newly mutated Mohawk all by yourself. Too bad Gizmo doesn't have a choice. It's fire versus spider legs as the two fight it out, and here's what happens next. Actually, wait. Before we cut to the ending, I just want to have a strong warning that if you suffer from epileptic seizures, please turn away from the screen. I'm serious, I mean it. Things are about to get real flashy. Okay, with that warning out of the way, here's what happens next. Although I'm not a huge fan of the way they used the flashes, I like a lot about this ending. I'm so used to movie adaptations getting almost no endings, so seeing a bunch of different frames and characters is a really nice touch. We even get to see Kate at the end. See, she's in the game, sort of. Moving away from the ending, I want to talk about something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. As we established at the beginning, Mr. Wing dies and his building is demolished. So, I guess what I want to know is how is it that Mr. Wing constantly shows up in this game? I mean, he's the shop owner where Gizmo buys all of his much-needed supplies, but the dude is dead. I mean, even in the game he's dead. They may not show it in the cinema, but the instruction manual notes that he was old and tired and passed away. And here he is, showing up twice in a level to sell Gizmo an extra life. I guess it doesn't really matter all that much, but it left me scratching my head. Anyway, Gremlins 2 The New Batch is good, and you should play it. There. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Game Over, The Early Years. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new episodes every Monday. Now here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite 8-bit movie adaptation? It's not just Gremlins, but also Batman, Goonies, Bill and Ted, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Back to the Future, or even Total Recall and Friday the 13th. And don't forget about the movie games on the Master System, the Game Boy, and the Game Gear. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we have a busy week in store for you. I have a bunch of reviews ready to go up, along with a few surprises. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.